A group of soldiers have gathered in front of a grave in the middle of a soggy field, grieving the death of their friend. A lone boy named Ray is standing in front of the grave and reflecting on the battle. Ray saw Havard, the man in the grave, explode in front of him and become covered in blood in his recollections. Ray, who is also covered in blood, witnesses a fellow soldier, a blonde girl, lying down in the blood. When Ray screams, the battlefield is encased in a massive dome of ice, and frost begins to spread around him. Outside, his comrades marvel as he does this. In a different scenario, the ice dome vanishes and all that is left is Ray carrying the girl's body. Ray had just registered and is now a student at the Academy of Sorcery. Along with the other pupils, Ray approaches the majestic gates. A girl unexpectedly bumps into Ray, but Ray manages to hold her before she tumbles. The girl's companions laugh at her plight as she goes red in the face. The girl gently reprimands Ray for standing in the middle of the road after he apologizes. Ray surprises the girls by revealing that he is a new student. There is only one new student, who doesn't come from either a noble or a sorcerer household, according to what they've heard. The new student is rumored to be from a normal family. That would mean that Ray is that student. When the girls realize he's just a regular guy, they feel sick and hear their audience start gossiping about him. One encounters Ray and introduces him to Albert Alley. Ray kindly introduced himself as Ray White and offered to shake his hand in greeting. However, Albert simply waved his hand away and said that the college was only for nobles, or at least those born into magical families. He declares that the academy is not for simpletons like Ray. Ray just ignores him, which annoys Albert. He tries to grab Ray, but Ray just calmly avoids him. Albert was about to hit Ray again when they were suddenly interrupted by a red-haired girl. Albert was shocked because this girl came from one of the top 3 families. Albert gave Ray a disgusted look, declared that he would never accept a normal person, and left. The red-haired girl introduces Ray as Amelia Rose and asks if he's okay. Ray thanks Amelia for her help and shakes her hand. Amelia congratulates Ray on being their school's first permanent student and tells him that he can always ask her for help. After an eventful morning, the college induction ceremony finally began. The headmistress of Arno School of Witchcraft and Wizardry introduced herself to the students as Abby Garnett and gave an impassioned speech. She said that the academy had recognized their magical talents, but they still had to work hard to be the best. After Principal Spiel's first-year student representatives were asked to give their speeches. It turned out to be Amelia Rose herself. In front of the adoring crowd, Amelia encouraged her classmates to overcome the difficulties they will face. After the ceremony, Raya went to her classroom and introduced herself in front of the class. However, the reaction of the class was mixed. Some of them received him with joy. Some people also began to discuss how he, an ordinary person, got into the academy in the first place. The teacher introduces herself as Helen Gray or Miss Gray and asks Ray to sit down. Amelia welcomes Ray back, much to the shock of all the other students. They couldn't believe that one of the top 3 families would talk to an ordinary person like Ray. Ray sat down and stared absent-mindedly at the city outside the window. He remembered from the war. Ray snapped out of his distraction as chalk flew at his head. Rhea grips the chalk with her fingers, but the chalk suddenly explodes, painting his face white. Miss Gray saw that he was not paying attention in class and threw chalk at him. His classmates tease him, and Ray apologizes for being a distraction in class. Ray now listens as Miss Gray continues her speech. She called Emily and asked her to explain the different magic classes. Emily stood up and listed the 5 ranks of bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and Saint Emperor, one from the lowest to the highest. Miss Gray then explains that there are only 7 great wizards at a time. They are the top 7 in the wizarding world, known as the 7 wizards of the world. Miss Gray then explains that the identity of the 7 wizards is often a mystery. However, few of them have publicly identified themselves. The archmage who revealed his identity was first Abby Garnett, the headmistress of the college they were currently attending. With her power of fire, she is known as the Burning Sorceress. Except him, the next famous Grand Wizard was Carol Caroline, often referred to as the Charming Wizard. She is well known in society for her work as a magical researcher. She is also the only archmage who actively spreads her name. Another great mage is a mage who was hailed as a hero in the Far East War called the Iceblade Mage. However, Iceblade mysteriously disappeared after the war. Meanwhile, 2 of the 7 remaining wizards have never revealed their names. After the lectures, the spells began in the classroom. Miss Gray again asks Amelia to explain what magic is. Amelia fluently explains that the spell is essentially a technique for regenerating the prima materia, the world's first material. Miss Gray then explained that the main concept behind the spell was called the code theory. To do this, you must first convert the original material into code. Then rearrange or edit the code. Then add or remove additional information at the end and refine the code. Then she proves that what you create can also be taken down. After the explanation, Miss Gray asked the class if they had any questions. Amelia raised her hand and asked if there was a limit to what could be created with prima materia. Miss Gray replied that technically there was no limit, it all depended on the wizard's abilities. She explained that materials can be divided into 4 types, namely solid, liquid, gas and plasma. After her explanation, a student wrapped in a coat shyly asked her if she had used the antimatter code to erase the material. Miss Gray tells her no, explaining that there are currently no wizards who can use the antimatter code. Ainsworth's dual code theory is so advanced that students don't need to understand it. The students then began to cast spells themselves. Emily easily followed in her footsteps and the ice rose melted in her hand. Her performance won the praise of her classmates. Meanwhile, Ray just materialized a block of ice that quickly disappeared. Seeing Ray's works, the students began to argue again, asking how he could have been accepted into the academy in the first place. Albert slammed his hands on the table, unable to accept a talentless wizard in their academy. Ray leaves after class and goes to the library. There he meets a classmate, a shy girl wrapped in a coat. Ray asked if she was looking for Ainsworth's books and she asked about it earlier in class. Ray introduces a girl who introduces herself as Eliza Griffith. Eliza then tells Ray that she loves Dr. Ainsworth and plans to become a doctor himself. She was also excited to meet an Ainsworth fan. Ray then asks Eliza why she always wears a hoodie when her hair is beautiful. Ray's question shocked Eliza, who tried to hide her hair again, but Ray stopped her. Eliza then explained that she was aware of her oddly pointy ears. However, Rhea tells her that she has beautiful ears and asks if she is a half-elf. Eliza told him that her mother was an elf and that she had been teased for being a half-elf ever since she was born. Ray compliments her and advises her not to hide her face. Eliza blushes and tells Ray that he seems mature. It brought back painful memories for Ray of being told by Harvard that he was too mature for his age. After school, Ray goes to his dorm and walks in with a young man named Evie Armstrong waiting for him inside. Evie says he's not like other nobles because he only believes in one thing. The two appear to shake hands, but Evie starts holding Ray's hand instead. Evie and Ray then agree on their muscular bodies. The next morning, Ray was out for his morning run when he passed a student watering the plants. Ray apologizes for bothering the girl and introduces himself. The girl smiled and praised Ray for her early morning workout. She then introduced herself as Rebecca Bradley, a third-year university student. After a while, Ray and Evie walked to class together. Ray shocked her by telling her about the girl he met that morning. Since Ray doesn't know much about the noble society, Evie starts to explain to him. 3 families at the top of the nobility can be compared to the royal family. They were very influential in all aspects of the empire. The 3 families are Ross, Bradley, and Algren. He also noted that Amelia is the eldest daughter of the Ross family. Inside the academy, a running student hits Ray. Rhea stands up and apologizes and introduces herself. At the same time, the girl recognized him in the rumors as an ordinary person. Fortunately, Ray calls the girl the charming Gemini lady, which seems to put the girl in a good mood. She introduced herself as Clarice Cleveland and began channeling her love of twin stories as a hairstyle. Ray apologized again for not recognizing Cleveland's last name. The girl was excited and muttered that her family was famous. Ray then tells her that her family must be beautiful people because Clarice herself is beautiful. This pleased Clarice and she continued her way. Ray then visits the headmistress and pays her respects. But Principal Abby tells him that they're all retired, so he doesn't have to be polite. She asked Ray to call her Abby Chan and Ray just randomly called her. This made her laugh and told Ray that he was like Harvard. In his first match, Ray must play against Alberta. The duel began. Albert quickly slapped Ray, yelling that a puny wizard had no right to stand in front of him. However, Ray easily manages his sword and says that the nickname doesn't really bother him. Ray's performance shocked everyone. Albert grows increasingly angry and stabs Ray. However, Rhea just took the jab with her jab. It turns out that Ray's technique and sword are even more powerful as Albert's wooden sword broke when he met Ray. Albert fell to his knees and the trainer declared Ray the winner. In the distance, Headmistress Abby watches the duel, happy that her student Ray White, aka the Icecapped Wizard, seems to finally be enjoying his academic life.
How was the video? We hope it was good. If so, please check these videos. Also, please comment down your thoughts and your suggestions for future videos. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing now to show the support to our channel. We hope to see you soon with another video right in this channel. Have a nice day.